The Brian Flores lawsuit. It's falling apart. Brian Flores, I told you. This thing comes out, I believe it was on Tuesday. Yesterday, Brian Flores went and did every media outlet under the sun. And what you're starting to see is people are taking a step back. They're looking at the allegations and they're saying, wait a minute, where is their racial discrimination? You were 38 years old and you got a head coaching job. You were poised, maybe still are poised, to get another head coaching job at the age of 40. That's 2 head coaching jobs. How is it that you are being discriminated against when you're being paid millions of dollars? And oh, by the way, you've never been a coordinator in the league before you became a head coach. You had the title of linebackers coach when you were with the New England Patriots. So now you're getting fiery responses from Stephen Ross saying all the allegations are not true about the Dolphins, from John Elway saying the idea that their interview was somehow disrespectful is not true. And by the way, yesterday I laid out the fact that Brian Flores had said that the interview that he had with the Denver Broncos was great and really great for him. And now he's trying to argue that it's race-based. But nothing that he alleged is actual racial discrimination. Nothing. There's no evidence that the reason he didn't get the Giants job was based on racial discrimination. And again, I say, I don't understand what advice he was getting from his lawyers. Why did he file a lawsuit while there were still 5 open jobs in the NFL and when he was a finalist potentially for a couple of those jobs? What happens, by the way, if the Houston Texans offer him the head coaching job? Do they call it? Does he refuse it? Is he not going to accept the head coaching job? Does he have to withdraw his lawsuit? I mean, these are real questions that should have been asked by media that actually wanted to do their job. Instead, every single sports media member, including that idiot Bomani Jones, went on the news and went on television and grabbed their phones and hopped on Twitter and immediately argued this was evidence of racial discrimination. But there was no evidence of racial discrimination in his complaint that he alleged at all. Now, the investigation into whether the Dolphins tried to tank and whether he might have been offered $100,000, okay, that's not racial discrimination, but that is an interesting tanking allegation. The idea that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, met with Tom Brady while he was still under contract, okay, that might be an NFL violation. Neither of those things are race-based discrimination. There's no suggestion that the reason Brian Daboll was hired instead of Brian Flores was because of racism. The really easy answer there is because the Giants have a young quarterback who is big and strong and has a heck of an arm, and they need to figure out whether or not Daniel Jones is the future of the franchise or not. And so they went and hired an offensive coordinator who'd been working with a big, strong quarterback with a phenomenal arm in Josh Allen. When Brian Daboll took over as the Bills' offensive coordinator, Josh Allen was coming off a 59% completion percentage. First year Brian Daboll's there, 69%. Huge jump in accuracy for Josh Allen. He got even better this year, and he and Patrick Mahomes had one of the greatest quarterback duels in the playoffs that either of us have ever seen, right? Any of us out there. And so Brian Daboll, if I owned the New York Giants, I would say, you know what? He makes more sense for us going forward. And now you're starting to see players speak out and say, what are you talking about? Did you see Tiki Barber's compelling perspective on the argument that Brian Flores was making that the Giants were racist? I'd encourage you to go watch it. I tweeted it out. Tiki Barber actually told you what it was like playing for the Giants and what the Mara family meant to him as a player. Mara, when he was on the deathbed, wanted to say goodbye to Tiki Barber, and Tiki Barber went to his home. It's a compelling story that Tiki Barber told, and it's getting almost no media attention because it doesn't fit the preferred narrative of poor Brian Flores. You are a victim of racism, you poor, unfortunate soul. It just doesn't add up. The NFL has made more black millionaires than any business in the history of the world. Trying to destroy it for false racism allegations is frankly Colin Kaepernick 2.0, which is what I believe Brian Flores is. And I still wonder what happens if he gets a head job. Nobody seems to even be able to point this out. He has to immediately pull the lawsuit. Now, I want you to remember, lawyers are incentivized to file lawsuits. Okay? I'm a lawyer. That's how we get paid. Okay? The reality is a huge majority of lawsuits have no basis in ever being filed. It's beneficial to the lawyer because they're going to get paid all of their billable hour rates. But there are very few people that I've known who have gone through long-form litigation and emerged healthier and happier than they were before the litigation started.